The journey of multicultural American literature. Here is academic information, table of content, and my research question is that how did American Indian and Asian American writers transform from marginalized voice to central figure in American literature, and what cultural, historical, and political forces catalyzed this transformation, especially during the literary renaissance of 1916 to 1980s? And my hypothesis is that the rises of American Indian and Asian American literature was not sudden phenomenon, but the result of a long continuum of cultural resistance, oral tradition, preservation, and hybrid narratives experimentation. The socio-political movements of 1916s and 17s include civil rights, decolonization, and ethnic studies initiative provide the space for this silenced voice to emerge, reclaim identity, and redefine the American literary canon. Introduction, which also discussed by Krishna, so I skip it. And this one, early foundations. So American Indian pioneers. Samson Akam focused on Christian teaching, emphasizing sin, redemption, and moral guidance. Used plain, accessible language to reach a native and non-native audience effectively. His major works is the sermon preached at the execution of Murphy's Paul. Then Zitka Lasa, her style is a lyrical, autobiographical, and politically charged, comparing the struggle between indigenous culture and assimilation. And her major works are this American Indian Story and Old Indian Legends. Then Asian American pioneers, Edith Eaton, she is focused on Chinese immigrant experience, highlighting discrimination and cultural identity. Used realistic storytelling to depict everyday life and struggle of Chinese American communities. Her prominent work is with Mrs. Spring's Fragrance, and another one is Winifred Eaton. Her style is romanticized and descriptive, often using cultural imagery and melodrama to appeal to early 20th century audience. Adapted the Japanese pen name Oto no Watana, and her major work is this kettle. Building momentum, period of 19 to 1960, notable voices, the Lin sister, Edith Anner, and May Lin. The Lin sister wrote raw and vivid wartime accounts from a child's perspective, down over chunking first-hand experience of war written by 17 years old and 14 years old and 10 years old, unflinching portrayal of horrifying slides of rotting corpses, burning houses, and abandoned children. Its major work is Down Over Chunkings. Then Zede No Wrong, Zede Snong Wrong, fifth Chinese daughter, when called Chinky by a white child. Jade Snow thought that he was tiresome and ignorant. Everybody knew that the Chinese people had a superior culture. Her ancestor had created a great art heritage and made invention important to world civilization. Her major works is a fifth Chinese daughter. The Catalyst, 1960s Renaissance, socio-political context, civil rights movement, American Indian movement, and anti-war activism and ethnic study programs. These are the major events during this 1960 Renaissance, and this Anne Scott Momati is one of the catalysts of this period. He focused on native identity, heritage, and connection to land, used lyrical, descriptive language, blending modern narrative with native oral tradition. House Made of Dawn won Pulitzer Prize in 1969. His prominent work are the names Amemoir and the Earth Keeper and this House Made of Dawn, which won a Pulitzer Prize. Then Renaissance flourishes, the period of 1917s and 1918s. Maxine Hong Kingston focused on Chinese American identity, gender, and family history, explored silence, memory, and intergenerational conflict in immigration families, used a hybrid style combining memoir, myth, and folklore to tell complex story, blended personal narrative with a cultural myth to challenge stereotypes and reclaim heritage. Her prominent works are this Chinaman, the Woman Warrior Memoirs, Girlhood Among Ghosts, and the Fifth Book of Peace. Then contemporary success, period of 1980s to present time. Louis Edrich focused on Ojibwe communities' life, family, and cultural survival. Used interwoven narratives and multiple perspectives to capture complex tribal experience. Explored history, trauma, and identity through fiction ground in native tradition. Her major works are Bad Queen uh, and Louis. This one, Tracks and this love medicine. Then Joy Harjo, she focused on Moses' identity, survival, and connection to land. Used poetic cadences, metaphor, and myth to convey native spiritual and cultural traditions. Explored trauma, resilience, and historical memory through lyrical poetry. Blended oral storytelling rhythm with contemporary poetic form for a powerful narrative voices. Her major works are this Remember, then conflict resolution for a holy being, and this one Poet Warrior. Then Amitan focused on Chinese American family dynamics, mother daughter relationship, and cultural identity, used interwoven narratives and alternating perspective to depict generational conflict. Her prominent work are this The Joy Luck Club and this Amitan, The Valley of Amazement. Key literary strategies. So this oral tradition preservation challenges traditional Indian literature is not especially accessible for average reader, and it is not easy to translate from Cherokee into English. Contextual frames do not translate well, nor does the oral performative scaled function and traditional literature, because this literature is on told orally, so people are not understand that literature and not framing it in their novels or at that time. So solutions that Mohammed is he uses this layered narrative in his works. Then this Edrich multiple narrators used in his works, and Hosaro's poetic cadences. Then genre hybridity. Kingston, a blend of memoir, myth, fiction, Pepperson stories, and confessions as literary precursors. Then competing narrator. From her competing narrator emerges unfilled story of community under siege by outside world. Cultural pride through character. Wong's protagonist reveals racism absurdity. Jade Snow thought that he was tiresome and ignorant. Everybody knew that the Chinese people had superior cultures. Challenges and ongoing debates. Authenticity debates. The Kingston controversy. Frank Chin criticized the Marxist Hongstone Kingston's work, The Woman Warrior, greatly. In response, Maxine Hong Kingston works has inspired a whole generation of Asian American writers and other writers. Then these translation issues, naming politics, and gender dynamics. These are the contemporary issues. Then why it is matter? So it's expanding the canons. Is it is expanding canons and cultural survival and revitalization. For American Indian, stories are source of strength in a face of centuries of silencing by Euro Americans. They also challenging dominant narrative and contemporary and its contemporary relevance. Our country would grow and develop by including the truth in our national story. Then, in conclusion, from silence to Renaissance, multicultural American literature reflects survival and self-expression. Later voices such as Wong, Momedi, and Edridge Hazro and Kingston transformed oral tradition into literary art. These are my references, and thank you. Now, if you have any questions, then feel free to ask.
My question is, are these literature still relevant for the younger generation?
Yes, this literature is still relevant for younger generation because it helps them to understand their culture and connect them with their culture, identity, and history. And it also helps them to understand what is the real struggle and what is the achievement of Native American and Indian American Indian American writers.
My question is, why did the 1960s and 70s become a turning point for a Native and Asian American literature?
Yes, this 1960 and 70 become turning point for narrative Asian American literature because at the time very political and social movements like a civil rights movement and this American Indian movement and these ethnic study programs are helping these writers to raise their voice against all this, and they are writers like Kingston and this. Yes, they are raised their voice and also published their work during that time.